Hey everyone, it's Editor Belmont here, and I just wanted to say before this podcast gets properly underway that this podcast was recorded before Hinako's reveal, before SNK revealed Hinako, okay? So, around the 40 to, I'd say 40 to 50 minute mark, around in there, okay, you're gonna hear Colin and John talking about KOF 15 and whether Hinako is going to be the last Season Pass 2 member. This was recorded before SNK decided to reveal her, okay? So, if you're wondering why they ain't talking about that, that's why, okay? I just wanted to let y'all know that. So, with all that being said, let's get into the show.
Hi, everybody. So, been a while since we've done a podcast. I've got someone on. We're going to be discussing kind of the future of SNK because that seems to be the topic we discuss most often. So, here's Johnny.
Wait, is this microphone working?
I think that you probably tried to deep throat it earlier, so we'll have to see.
Well, again, you're the one that told me to do that to see if it would do anything, so these are the results.
How's the throat?
Hopefully not as severe. We have liquids, so we should be fine. How are you feeling?
Like a beat up old man.
Well, I got bad news for you. You are old.
Yeah, you're older.
Yeah, so respect your elders.
So, speaking of elders, we're going to be discussing a very old fighting game first.
And which one would that be?
That would be Fatal Fury's City of the Wolves.
The long-awaited installment.
Yes, I almost want to call it City of the Wolves Fatal Fury every time. My brain just goes opposite.
Alphabetical?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we could go by the Japanese name.
What would the Japanese translation be?
Well, they put it in the trailer. Garo Densetsu.
Ah. Okay. Well, either way,
New
this
Fatal
is something
Fury.
that... Yeah, and we're both excited for it, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Even though SNK is my second favorite developer, maybe third favorite developer, Insomniac Games kind of swings in between the two of them. Yes, that's a Spider-Man pun, by the way.
I still have yet to play Spider-Man, but anyway.
You should get to it. Well, they are that developer for me, and I would say that the King of Fighters is one of my favorite franchises. I actually prefer Gauro Mark of the Wolves to both KOF 14 and KOF 15.
Well, I would say at the time, like when Garo came out, it was like the third strike compared to Capcom, but like Garo is just, it almost feels like the perfect title.
I think it's because it's that right blend of accessibility, simplicity, yet mechanically deep enough that the scrub players like us will get obliterated by, the Justin Wongs of the world.
But you can still have some fun doing it. I mean, obviously Garo wasn't perfect. I think there's only maybe one or two things that game lacked from achieving, like, perfection.
What do you think those things were?
Roster.
Yep.
Roster being the biggest one, and maybe, like, the game, this maybe isn't an issue for some, but balance. Like, the balance in the game actually did feel pretty good. There were some things that could have been fine-tuned with it, but...
What, you mean like Rock not being a fucking scrub in his debut?
Well, Rock or T-Zoc.
Which is funny to me, because I always struggle with T-Zoc, no matter what.
Yeah, like T-Zoc, well, I mean, at least what we've seen for tier lists, Rock and T-Zoc seem to be near the bottom all the time.
And B. Jenny's always near the top, right?
Well, it's either Janet or Jaehoon. No, Jaehoon's close.
I guess you could say that she's a top.
Not anymore, though. But we'll talk about that if you want later on about KOF 15.
We'll definitely talk about that.
But we live in an era now where balance is just kind of constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of fun.
Which is good and bad, which actually, that gave me an idea for another topic for a podcast, which I'm going to type to you in Discord chat now.
Mm-hmm. But going with that, I think it's just like the biggest issue with Garo was just its roster. It felt small, but it was focused. So one thing to see in City of the Wolves would be a bigger roster.
Which I think we're definitely going to get based off the trailer that we've seen.
Based off the trailer, and it's going to be a lot of returning characters with it, because we already know Joe's there, we know Andy's there, we know Billy's there, and at least classic Fatal Fury characters.
I also heard Andy's line, and I'm pretty sure that I've heard Yuri's voice in that trailer.
I don't think Yuri's making it, because I re-listened to it again, or watched that trailer. I want to say Totaro.
Which could work. I mean, they are very similar sounding characters.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have the same voice actress, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe just a slight pitch difference. But I think one guarantee for sure, bring back pretty much the whole roster, I guess with the exception of Grant, from Garou into City of the Wolves.
What do you think the chances of Blue Mary making the roster is?
I want to say high. I think we've already seen some legacy characters. Like we said, Billy, Andy, and Mai and Joe are back. So I think we'll probably see some more legacy stuff, because one thing they said, at least according to the interview that we read on 4Gamer that was with Oda-san, so there's probably going to be a return of classic characters. Like, my biggest ones would probably be, well, Blue Mary would be cool. I'd love to see Kim make a return.
Is Kim gonna have a cane in this edition if he makes it? Because he's already fucking old in KOF, let's be honest.
He's old in KOF, but if his sons make it, Dongwon and Jae-hoon, then maybe Kim could skip it, but I think Kim should be there.
I think all three of them should be.
Yeah, at least like we said, Dongwon and Jae-hoon for sure.
They both play so differently, the two of them, that what they could do is have Jay and Dong play, how they typically play, and then have Kim kind of be the middle ground between the two of them. Maybe have his moves be a little bit more refined, and that you don't have to be as precise with them, making him maybe a more accessible character to show more mastery.
Just for Kim himself?
Yeah.
That could work.
Make him maybe a bit slower, but have it so that his moves don't need to have their inputs be as precise, you know what I mean?
As precise, or, I would say maybe make him a little more precise, but make him slower, but to have a higher damage output.
That's what I was thinking, higher damage, and maybe make it so that if you screw up a quarter circle, which a lot of people do, let's face it, that the game will maybe compensate with Kim a little bit more, because it'll be like, okay, Kim's such a master that even when he's off, he's still better than his sons.
Well, that's funny you mentioned about control and stuff, because one of the things that's mentioned in the interview is they're looking at making easy controls an option.
Which I definitely think is a good option. I actually am all for increasing accessibility in fighting games, because let's face it, they are a very niche genre at this point in time, because of their dogmatic viewpoint to stay stuck in the arcade era, where the game was not supposed to be your friend.
So we'll have to see what they do with that, but I bet you they're going to be taking notes from Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 when it comes to that.
Of the two, I much prefer Tekken 8. I am going to be pre-ordering the deluxe edition on PlayStation very soon, because I want to do a 24-hour stream the night that comes out, and I want you involved.
I do plan on getting Tekken 8. That is probably the first big one I'm getting next year. But I do have one question with its controls, because I noticed this issue when I first tried the closed network test. And that is, with the simple controls, you can switch between them on the fly. I think that's both a plus and a minus.
I definitely agree, but Tekken 7 did something very similar. And the thing is, it's kind of part of Tekken's core gameplay at this point in time.
So if you're screwing up, or you feel like nothing's working, you just press the button and then just mash, basically.
You can try that, but it'll only get you so far. Because the thing is, those macro attacks in Tekken 8, you had the macro attacks in Tekken 7 as well. And the thing is, they're situational attacks. You have to know when to use them.
Yeah, because I remember when using that during the closed network test, it does seem situational, but it seems to override almost most of the things that you would want to do. So the game's just picking for you What is the best
Not
option?
not exactly. Go back and play Tekken 7,
I'll have to
and then
reinstall Tekken 7.
press the L1 button,
Mm-hmm.
which is how you access it in Tekken 8, to my knowledge, as
Yes,
well.
that's right. It is L1 in Tekken 8.
Yeah, then it's literally the same as Tekken 7. They've had that for a long time. Also, even professional players use those simplified macros.
I thought I saw it briefly during like an Evo tournament or something, but
Yeah, what they do is they tend to like flash it, press something, and then leave it, because they know that if they flash it on screen too long, their opponent's going to know what is being selected, and they can counter that if they're quick enough.
yeah. So I'll have to go back and take a look at that. So I'm curious to see what they do with easy control options for Garo. I mean,
Me
for
too, because
City of the Wolves, sorry.
we'll just call it Garo too, because fuck it, it's easy. We're gonna fuck it up at various points, so let's just be honest. To us, it's Garo too. I killed the conversation.
No. I thought you were going to finish your thoughts.
No, that was the end of my thought. I was waiting for you to say something.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just looking through the rest of it too, just seeing like what else there was that was pointed out during that.
I do have a way I want to like move this discussion related to Garo, though.
Mm-hmm.
How big do you think the initial roster is going to be?
Well, if you include everyone from Galro, like I said, with the exception of Grant, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's at least 16. I want to say at least mid-20s.
I think 24. I think that is the absolute barest minimum SNK could get away with.
Yeah, like my issue with Street Fighter is that, like, 18? I think it was 18?
18 or 19,
At
either way,
launch.
too tiny.
At launch, like, which was fine. But then again, you have other fighters that did that too. I think BlazBlue, when BlazBlue originally came out, it was 12 fighters. But again, Garo was also 12 fighters when you include the two bosses. So they were focusing on quality over quantity.
True, but if you look back to
here.
if you look back to when Garo Mark of the Wolves came out, 11 to 12 was a decent sized roster considering.
Mm-hmm. And BlazBlue came out in 2009 with that size of a roster.
Which made sense because at that point in time, Arc System Works was not as big as they are today, so they could not include a huge roster size.
Fair.
Basically, they were kind of an indie developer at that point in time, if you think about it.
Yeah. But they were still pretty well known. They were still well known, just not as big.
Probably a AA one would be closer to what they actually were in terms of size.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, they didn't have access to their flagship franchise in Guilty Gear at that point in time for legal reasons. And this was essentially their way to stay in the fighting game.
In the genre, and then look at where they are now.
Yeah. And I think that it was because BlazBlue did something that was kind of unique at the time.
I would still love to see the return of it, but that's never going to happen.
Oh, I think it's going to happen at some point.
At least now, yeah. We're probably going to see that years and years down the road then.
I'm hearing rumblings that BlazBlue has a new game in development right now. It's just not ready for prime time yet.
Yeah. Wasn't there like a brawler or something that's coming?
Not sure.
Yeah.
Basically, the last little bit that they actually did was Cross Tag Battle, which I believe now has the rollback netcode update.
Yes, it does.
And basically, they've been saying not to rule out a BlazBlue return. They just want to do something special with it when the time is right.
So who knows when that's gonna be? But we know
I'm gonna call 2026, 2027.
So 4 years from now.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they've got, something that's in very early alpha development right now, probably using the backbone of the last flagship BlazBlue game, not Cross Tag Battle, but the last whatever release was.
Like, that's another conversation for its own entirely, but I feel like if they're going to make a new BlazBlue, they're going to build off the style they did with Strive.
Which, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because Strive was it's just a game to me. It's like, if I had someone who wanted to play, more than happy to play it with them, but I'm not going to go out of my way to actually spend time with Guilty Gear.
But going back to City of the Wolves, so yeah, at
Yes.
least roster 24, 25. It needs that, and there's probably they're going to do seasons, I would say, for it. It would make sense.
I think 1, maybe 2 seasons max.
1 or 2 seasons max for it.
Yeah, I don't think it's like King of Fighters where they can do multiple seasons.
Yeah, like they could do 2 for sure. I think 2 is definitely going to be on the list. The only reason we could say 3 is because, let's face it, KOF 15 is probably going to have 3. Samurai Showdown had 3.
I think KOF could go 4, to be honest.
It could, but that depends on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what else did they talk about during that interview going with that? I know
They
Oda made
talked
the
about
joke about lines.
Yep. How do you feel about that? Because I've never played any of the earlier Fatal Fury games. I believe you have.
I've dabbled with Real Bout, which had the line system. The line system is cool, but I think that could be hard to do, like, for a balance aspect, because you basically have to make it like a pseudo kind of 3D thing. Because how the lines worked was you press a button and then a direction, and you would either go, depending if it had 2 lines, you would go up. If you had 3 lines, you could either go up or down. But then you could like do an attack to get back into the same line as your opponent, or your opponent could jump into the same line as you. So it makes for some interesting evasion attacks and could for some cool setups. But I'd be wondering how they would do that in this for this. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it has to make sense. But they're saying it's highly unlikely though that this will happen.
I think they could leave it as it was, but here's the thing: toggle it on and off.
Or make it a separate mode.
That's what I meant. Like, make it a separate mode or toggle it on and off. Basically, you know how Smash Brothers lets you basically customize almost everything, right?
Yeah, and I know apparently players don't like it when you use items in a game.
Can't say I really know because I don't follow the Smash community. I just know that the game has a high degree of customizability.
Mm-hmm. And you are correct when it comes to that.
What I think the future of fighting games is incorporating more customization within the game itself, at least in terms of casual play.
Mm-hmm. Like you want to turn it into a
different.
party game of sorts.
I wouldn't say turn it into a party game of sorts. Basically, just a case of if you have a legacy franchise that has a ton of mechanics, incorporate the mechanics organically by allowing players to come up with custom rule sets in their lobbies.
Yeah, so if they did bring back lines, for example, like let's say they theoretically do it, that is a way you could do it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that would be the best way to do it, because then you could have 2 different ranked modes. Ranked with lanes, ranked without lanes.
That depends if they want to make it a ranked mode. They could just strictly leave it for for like, say, casual rooms or party matches, right?
They could leave it to that, yes. I'm just saying, like, that's one way that they could incorporate it, and that's actually kind of, I think, a good idea if they incorporated it in a competitive sense, because think about this. One of the reasons Smash is so popular is because of that customization, and even in official tournaments, there's always a vast degree of what's allowed, what's not. And I think that if they did 2 separate leagues, that would actually be a good way to make old Fatal Fury fans happy and keep it also simple for the newcomers.
That is a possibility too. We'd have to see what they do, but if they decide to bring the system back, but the chances of it look slim.
Mm-hmm.
But also, the only thing that seems to be in terms of mechanics right now is the break mechanic.
Was that in in Gauro Mark of the Wolves?
It might have been, but it's been a while since I've played it, so we'd have to.
I know
take a
you
look.
can. I know you can do guard crush, but that happens if your opponent's basically just spamming guard.
Mm-hmm. There's guard, yeah, because there was that. There was just defense systems and the top system, so we don't even know if those are going to be there. Like, I would like to see at least them return in some form, or at least the just defense system would be cool. But
I think that
top
just
may
defend
not be
would be I feel like just defend is definitely required, and I feel like top should be included as well, because to me that is a lot of the identity of Mark of the Wolves.
Or at least, yeah, for Mark of the Wolves. But if they want to make it play differently, I think the big things could be, like, mechanics is one of them, being that. But the other thing would also be how it plays. As personal opinion, I don't think it should be as fast as KOF.
No, I don't think it should be either.
But it
But I
shouldn't
don't
be
think
as
it
slow
should...
as Samurai Shodown.
You just stole the words from my mouth.
Yeah, we're not going as slow as Samurai Shodown, but we're not going as fast as King of Fighters. And then this might be another crazy thought, but don't make it combo heavy.
Would you say that Gauro was combo heavy?
Not really. I would say both Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting kind of fit the bill of, like, they didn't seem very combo heavy. You did string, like, moves or your techniques together. So I'd like to see something like that, like, but don't make it like 20 plus hit combos, because that's just no.
That can be obnoxious at times.
It can be, but make it so, like, you can still seamlessly, like, chain your moves together, but don't make it these excessive strings or TOD combos or something like that.
I get what you mean, and I agree with that for sure. So let's kind of get back to the roster just real quick. Who makes it in season 1?
If they are to do a new season, or if they are to do a season for it, depending if they make the base roster or not. I mean, if he's not base roster, he has to be DLC Duck King.
Yeah, I could see it. I wouldn't be surprised if Duck King makes it as base roster, to be honest, because he is a popular character.
Yeah. Like, Duck King needs to be there, I think, for sure, as long as it makes sense with it.
I would love to see Robert and Yuri make it.
So, like, have an Art of Fighting collaboration. Yes,
because they are teasing Art of Fighting making a return, and I think this would be the perfect way to do so.
Well, I mean, that's what SNK did with 15. Pre-order bonus, you get Garo, Mark of the Wolves, Terry.
Yeah, and then season pass, the first season pass was Team Garo, so...
That's their hint.
Yeah.
I don't know, if I had to pick, say, other characters, like, if they didn't include, say, Kevin or Freeman from, like, the base roster in this, I'd say they should be DLC.
I agree. I really would love to see Kevin and Mary interacting.
That would be something cool to see. Other ones, like, if you want to go far back down, like, Rick.
I don't know Rick.
He was one of the new characters in Real Bout 2.
Ah.
He's a boxer, I believe, of sorts.
So I'd probably enjoy him since I like Vanessa and I like TJ combo.
Yeah, so Rick could be up your alley if he makes the cut.
Would you say he's fast or medium speed?
I never played much, but I'd probably say medium.
Okay. So
go on.
So basically, like, I'd have to check him out and see if I get on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've noticed that medium is the absolute slowest I tolerate.
Yeah, you can't go slow, super slow. But in terms of roster, while it's still cool to see everyone return, I still think there should be a few new fighters.
Oh, for sure. One thing that I would love to see, even though they've got karate kind of covered with Kushnud Butt or Marco Rodriguez, whichever direction they decide to go, because they used Marco, but only Marco, I noticed, in KOF 15 for the Garo ending.
I thought he was also, like, Marco was also in the Art of Fighting ending.
Okay, I did not know that, but either way, maybe
he was in the one for, I think, KOF 14, sorry. The KOF 14 Art of Fighting ending.
I see. Well, either way, they could do a name combo and go Marco Butt.
Mark your butt. The memes would just come in at that point.
Honestly, that would be perfect, because, let's face it, they could use that meme as marketing.
Possibly.
And they could make him the joke character.
But make him secretly the top tier character of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no. In terms of roster, yeah, like as we were saying, like returning characters obviously, but make new ones, at least 2 or 3 new ones, because everything they did for Mark of the Wolves 2 has been put to the side. So everything that was in those like leaks and stuff, or like when the stuff got leaked out of what Mark of the Wolves 2 was going to be, that's not there anymore. So they're basically starting from scratch at this point.
Which I think is interesting. But I definitely feel like a different take on karate is kind of required, because we've got like kind of the over-the-top action star karate in Mr. Butt.
But I still think like a judo character would be cool.
Oh yeah, I would love a judo character, but my wish for the karate side would be kind of a more straightforward, no crazy fireball type of karate user, similar to Hitomi in Dead or Alive.
I was going to say someone like Kim, for instance, because Kim doesn't use projectiles. But instead of Taekwondo.
Yeah, basically a Kim/Hitomi is kind of what I'm thinking. No projectiles, kind of a rushdown character, maybe Rekka based.
I'll throw a wrench into this. Make them like that. Like you could do rushdowns or no rushdowns, but give them an ability to reflect projectiles.
I like that idea. Either option would be really cool, because let's face it, that is one thing I did have a complaint with Gauro, was the fact that while the roster was very diverse, sometimes it felt a little bit limiting in terms of what you could do.
Yeah, but when you figure out characters' tools, yeah, because that's the one thing that was neat, because each character didn't really play the same. So they each kind of had their own different styles and their own approaches. Like, for me, like when I play Gauro, Jae-hoon and Gato are my go-tos.
And for me, it's B. Jenny and Terry.
But if they could but you could counter them. You just have to know how their mechanics work.
Yeah, because obviously B. Jenny's projectiles cancel out projectiles, as do Terry's, but I'm just saying that one thing I noticed when I was playing was that the characters all had universal options pretty much, and that was great. But I did notice that it was kind of limiting at times in terms of player expression. Because I couldn't really find a decent Rekka character. That might just be, my lack of experience with the overall game, but...
Yeah, or just, we'd probably have to dig more into the roster for that. Because I thought Freeman was alright when it came to that. Because Freeman was supposed to be like character. Freeman was supposed to be like Iori.
But he's a charge character, so...
Well, we'll have to see what they do with the roster, but again, like I'm saying, at least two, I'd say 2 or 3 new characters.
Yep.
When it comes to that, and other things that they talked about. So this is a main story game,
which is awesome, because that ending for Gauro, frustrating. Maybe the most frustrating cliffhanger in video games now at this point in time.
It's only taken 25 plus years.
Yep. It beat out Shenmue.
But at least it's being answered, and we're going to see something. It would suck, though, if they end the story on another cliffhanger.
Watch them do that, and then, 10 years later, they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to wrap that up.
But at least in terms of story, it's interesting what they say. I believe they said which games are factored into the story. So, Fatal Fury 1 through 3, both real bouts, and Garou. Because since City of the Wolves is technically number 7, so that means the special games don't count.
I definitely think that's interesting. Also, I was going to ask you, since we know what Terry and Rock are going to look like, because, they've already been shown, what do you think Mai's going to look like?
I think Mai will look the same, but with the updates that we've seen with the models, so like better hair physics, better cloth physics, I think she's going to look a lot better. But one thing I would say that they should do is give each character an alternate costume.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was going to say they need alternate costumes, but I was going to say honestly think that they should give Mai a casual look for her primary costume in this one.
Well, you should see how she looks in the Fatal Fury movie, because she has a casual outfit on.
That was kind of my basis for that idea.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But I was thinking, like, they go a casual route and, play off the fact that both her and Blue Mary are technically MILFs at this point in the timeline.
Because I know that's what you like.
Yes.
Although, I think what we saw for Andy and Joe, like, Joe's isn't too drastic, he just has, like, a jacket on. But Andy's seen, like, a drastic design change.
Andy looks like he's seen some shit.
So, I wonder if that's going to be his base outfit, or...
Probably.
And then
again,
make his KOF outfit his alternative costume.
do you think that they're going to have Mai and Andy actually married in this timeline?
No.
They're going to keep that going and
They're going to
milk
keep
it,
that train
aren't they?
going. They're going to keep that train going, basically.
At this point, Mai basically would just have to grab Andy and do basically... you get the idea.
No, plot twist. Mai hooks up with Rock. Yeah, like, that's ever gonna happen. But, again, if you just want to throw a plot twist into things. But, I mean, like...
Basically, I was thinking what I just sent you.
Ah, jeez. But yeah, looking at that, I'm curious to see what the roster is, what the roster's gonna be, and then, like, what they're actually gonna do in terms of story, because the one curious thing with the story is that, is Rock now a villain?
I'm gonna say anti-hero.
An anti-hero?
Yeah. Because Rock's kind of an edgelord, but he's too much of a soft bean to go full evil.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, the only other thing I think that maybe stands out from that interview is, like, rollback netcode's confirmed, so they know it's essential.
At this point, it's got to be a standardized feature.
But my other questions, is crossplay there?
I think that has to be a standardized feature at this point in time as well.
I feel it's going to be. Like, I think those are, like, the two big things that we need. Well, we need rollback, we need crossplay. I also would want better lobby system.
Well, Garo's lobby system was shite, let's be honest.
Then again, look at how old that game was when they updated it. It's just basically, let's just make this work and that's it. But if they were to do a lobby system akin to what we've seen in updated 98 and, like, 98 Ultimate Match Final Edition, or what we're seeing in kind of like the King of Fighters 13.
Yeah, I want them to just do a KOF 15 lobby system.
No,
it works.
14 lobby system.
Yeah, 14 lobby system is better. Just not as clunky an interface.
Yeah, I just want to know if it's possible. Like, it probably wasn't for 15 because they were just updating the systems and everything, so maybe we'll see something like that in City of the Wolves, but we'll have to find out.
Definitely.
And it looks like also, there's still no date yet. I would hope it's still coming out next year, but that seems very unlikely.
They're saying furiously in development, and honestly, I do think it's going to come out next year, just very late into next year.
Well, according to that interview as well, there is no date, but serious development starts at the beginning of next year.
See, I think that they've already got it into a very playable state. They're just saying serious development starts next year to hedge their bets. Basically, unless it's them being like, yeah, we're pretty much finished, but if some weird, crazy big bug comes up, we're not going to corner ourselves.
Yeah, because KOF got delayed because of COVID, but that at least gave them a little more time for polish, so...
Yep.
I would like to see it come out next year, just because that would make it 25 years since the release of Garo Mark of the Wolves.
Mm-hmm. If you want to know what I've kind of been hearing just by my asking industry contacts, they're saying it's likely to be an October-November release date.
Before the end of the year.
Yeah. Basically, the original plan was to release it in time for EVO, but they really don't want to be competing with Tekken 8.
Which is something I want to say, at least with that. The one thing I like with fighting games, at least now, is that they've been each given kind of their own room to breathe.
Yeah,
when it comes
that
to
is
that.
a good thing.
So let them run its course. I mean, the only reason I'm throwing out the numbers for anniversaries is because unless you want to make it significant, because like the other option, I'm just gonna throw it out there. Since you mentioned November,
Yep.
what if this comes out? No, that would be too long of a wait because the original Fatal Fury came out November 25th, 1991.
So you were thinking November 5th?
No, November 25th would be one. But if they made it, let's just say they have this thing in development hell for a while, and it comes out in 2026.
I think that would be too long of a wait, but
Yeah.
I've been hearing that like late 2024, early 2025 is the target goal, with November being the like most likely if they release it next year.
If they do, that would make it tough though.
Like I said, I think it's been in development way longer than anyone thinks. I think that they're just finally showing it now because they no longer have to worry about supporting Samurai Shodown, and they know that they're supporting KOF at least until the end of next year.
Yeah.
So I think that they're like, okay, we can end KOF next year or maybe leave it another season, but we're going to release City of the Wolves because we want to get something out.
I feel like they're going to do the same thing that they attempted with when they actually officially revealed KOF 15 in January. In January, I think 2 years ago. Because they announced that, and they also showed season 3 of Samurai Shodown. So I have a feeling they're going to talk.
Have we had any announcement for KOF season 3 yet?
No. We're still waiting on the final character, which I'm still calling it. It's Hinako.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. I'm surprised that we haven't seen them revealed yet because Dulan's out now, so...
Which I still need to try out Dulan. I haven't yet.
As do I. Let's meet up later this week and do a co-stream together.
Try and figure out something with that. But yeah, like, Hinako's got to make it out before the end of the year. And then probably probably when Hinako is revealed, that's probably when we're gonna get a tease of season 3. So that's not for a while.
When do you think Hinako is gonna come out? I know it says winter.
I want to say December.
I'm gonna say November.
You're gonna say November?
Yeah, because think about it. Hinako comes out, perfect time to drop the, oh yeah, City of the Wolves is coming next year trailer.
Yeah, because I imagine they're going to do the same thing like they did with when the official reveal for 15 was. Like, here's a video. We're going to talk briefly about about City of the Wolves. Here's what you can kind of expect. And here's a little bit more of it in motion.
Yep. I do think we're getting a season 3, though. Let's discuss that a little bit real quick.
Yeah. So
who do you think's making it for season 3? Is it team-based or is it going to be single entrance?
I'm going to say single entrance again.
Same here.
Because I think that makes more sense for them since it's not as a big of a team, I think, working on that now.
Yep.
So single entrance, we're probably going to see about the same numbers that we saw for season 2. So what was it? 5 fighters, 1 boss character.
That sounds about right to me. Who do you think makes it? Do 5 rapid fire.
Shenwu, Kasumi, Jun. I want to say a new fighter. And me, Zafina or Alice.
Nice. I'm going to say Melee, Alice. Damn it, now my brain's blanking.
So just Melee and Alice? Okay, that's only 2 characters for a season's pass. That's kind of low, man.
Mature and Vice. Those were 2 others that I was thinking.
So 1 more.
Yeah.
No, you need to name 1 more. You got 4.
I know. I was going to say one of the American sports team characters.
Okay. We'll say Brian Battler.
Oh, no, Alice. That's who I was going to say. Fuck.
You already said Alice.
Oh, did I?
Yeah,
My
you
brain's
did.
going. Okay. Yeah, okay. Brian,
Yeah.
then.
And then who do you think the boss character is going to be?
uh, who's Ash Crimson's relative again?
Psyche?
Yes.
You think Psyche will be the boss character?
Yeah.
That could be a good option. I want to say someone from the Nest Chronicles, so either Ignis or Chrysalid.
Those would be very cool.
I think Chrysalid's the one that's been in highest request right now.
So it'll probably be him.
It could be Chrysalid, but we'd have to see. I know Shenwu. The reason I said mine, I think Shenwu has been high demand because we just need Shen, and then we've completed a few teams from the Tales of Ash saga.
Which would make sense. I said Melee because I just want the fucking character at this point in time.
Melee, Alice, we can both say it would be nice to see her.
It would be. Also, I think that if she makes it into KOF 15, that basically confirms her for the City of the Wolves roster.
She is actually one I would love to see for City of the Wolves, if possible.
I think she makes the most sense to be on the City of the Wolves roster because if Rock's going to be either a bad guy or an anti-hero, they don't exactly have a young hero.
That is true that they don't.
Because basically the closest to a young hero I can think of would be Jenny, and she's not exactly a hero either.
That is true.
Since she's kind of a morally gray character at best.
And I wouldn't consider Gato, because Gato is more of an anti-hero.
Gato's more of a, fuck you, I'm doing my own thing, fuck off.
Except it's like Hotaru, wait, brother, where are you going? Piss off.
Yeah.
Actually, I have another idea going back to it for a second, if you want to say Season 1 for City of the Wolves or
Go
base
ahead.
roster. Yamazaki.
That would be really interesting.
I think he needs to make a comeback.
For sure.
But going for KOF 15, that's pretty much what I would guess for roster stuff. But there's probably going to be another balance patch for sure. There needs to be another one.
Definitely. And I think that Jenny needs buffed again.
just don't make her a god.
No, make her a goddess, please.
No, fuck that. I don't want to have matches that just consist of Janet and Cronin.
Then give Cronin a debuff.
Then give Janet a debuff.
Give
her nerfs. Just because she's your favorite character.
No, Vanessa is. I'm just good with Jenny.
That still means you like her as a character.
Yeah, I do like her as a character. I'm just pointing out that Vanessa's my favorite, and Jenny is the only one I can actually do fuck all with.
Well, we'll have to see, because I know the balance patch that came out did some drastic things. And I know the DLC characters need to be... The DLC characters, I feel need more buffs, especially Team Samurai.
Yeah, don't make the little demon any better.
Make her better. Please make Darlie better.
I don't know, you were pretty deadly with Darlie.
Well, we'll have to see when we get back to that, but again, Dulon's on the priority list, because I need to see how Dulon plays. But I feel like there needs to be some balance stuff, at least for Season 3. One more balance adjustment, at least for sure.
And I think Kim definitely needs a buff. He kind of felt underpowered right from the get-go. Not that he's bad, he's mid-tier, I would say.
Same with Shingo. They're both good, but they need buffs. Both of them do.
Yep.
Both of them do. And especially with the new characters, I would, as terrible as this sounds, make them OP right off the bat and then balance from there.
That's always the best way to go about it, because people are paying money for these characters.
Yeah, so if they did Shenwu, for instance, make Shenwu overpowered, and that would be just really funny to look at. And then balance him afterwards. But like for KO 15, there's not much else. I mean, the only other thing, maybe another new stage or two.
It needs a couple of stages. Let's be truthful. It shipped with too few.
Yeah, I mean, we did get a new one when we got Naused, but when we got Naused, we got a new stage, and then with Season 1, we got a new stage with Rugal, with Omega Rugal.
I think we need at least 3 or 4 stages.
At least a few. That's actually something that also carries over, I would say, for City of the Wolves. Diverse stages. Because I think those locations they showed, those are probably stages. I don't know if those are going to be all the stages in the game, though.
I will be very disappointed if those are the maximum number of stages that we get.
Mm-hmm. We need more.
Yeah.
But we'll find out more for that, like, probably next year. Or maybe when Hinako gets officially revealed, then we can see something on that.
Yep. Also, if you're curious, the sources I'm mentioning telling me the kind of November release date, same people that told me about Trails from Daybreak.
Which I'm excited to play that. I have my limited edition pre-ordered.
As do I.
We just have to wait till the summer.
Yep, and I'm going to call it, it's going to be a July release date again.
I feel like that's probably what it is. That's what I was kind of theorizing in my head. July will probably be the release window.
Do you want to know what I think what dates I think will be?
Are you going to say the beginning of the month?
No.
You're going to say the end of the month?
I'm going to say mid-month.
Mid-month for it?
Yeah, and usually video games release on Thursdays, right?
Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Friday, normally.
Okay, so I'm going to call either July 16th, 18th, which would be my birthday, or July 23rd. That's the release window I'm going to predict.
Well, we'll have to see when that comes to fruition.
Yep.
But speaking of RPGs, that leads into Samurai Shodown.
It does, which was not intentional because I had wanted to discuss Art of Fighting next, but...
Yeah, but for Samurai Shodown, I know they are interested in making an action RPG because they actually did an RPG... SNK there was an RPG before.
I remember reading about that, and I was like, yeah I can actually see Sam Show as a RPG.
I can see Sam Show as that. Action RPG, though, or, as crazy as this sounds, make it a Muso.
I think that either would work. Maybe a Muso with more RPG elements akin to, say, Persona 5 Strikers.
That, or I'm playing through Fate Samurai Remnant right now. That would be cool to see, actually. Have SNK do a cross-collab with Koei Tecmo.
That would be really cool. Actually, that's something I'd love to see them do with either King of Fighters or Art of Fighting or, Samurai Shodown. I would love to see them do a collab with Koei Tecmo.
Yeah, I'd love to see that because, again, I feel like that could work for an RPG, and if they can keep it within like the same art style as Samurai Shodown 2019...
I think they've got that art style on lock. I think that in an open world action RPG would be amazing.
So we just need to know when that's coming because apparently it's in concept phases right now. Mm-hmm. So I'd be curious to see how that turns out. But other things would be, would you be playing as a character that's established, or would you be playing a new character like that SNK has created, or even a character you can make yourself?
Here's an idea. What about one of B. Jenny's relatives is a pirate?
Oh, you mean Darley? Okay.
No,
Imagine if they made that canon.
That would be interesting. But no, I was thinking like one of her actual relatives.
Relatives or something from the past.
Yeah, and have them look almost identical to her.
Make that the playable character, or make that a new character that you come across in the world. That could be interesting.
Exactly, and like, just imagine the fan art of B. Jenny actually wearing a pirate hat.
I think that exists.
It does, but most of it is very blah.
But yeah, for Samurai Shodown, I think going an action RPG route, that definitely would have my attention, because it would be something different. It would definitely
have my attention as well. Actually, how about this for the combat system? Something akin to Ninja Gaiden.
I would say that. Or Neo.
That would be really cool. I could see Samurai Shodown working with Souls-like mechanics.
With Souls-like mechanics, that would be cool. And then the big thing would it be just a solo character thing, or would you actually have, say, Nakoruru or even Shiki or Haomaru on your team, like as a team-based game, like say a Tales game?
If they go the team-based route, I think that they would probably go akin to Modern Ys.
So, like, you mean the new one, Nordics, right?
No, I mean 7, Salsetta, 8, 9.
Okay, that kind, not the new one.
No, because that's not really team-based. You have Adol and you have one other character, and it's kind of Souls-based mechanics.
So, which I need to play Nordics. I need to know when that's coming out.
I'm hearing that they're going to announce it sometime next year around TGS, and that it'll be a very early release into 2026, 2025.
So I'll throw out a guess for that. I'm going to say the next Anime Expo.
Okay, when's that?
It's either end of June or early of July.
Okay.
And they will announce East 10 Nordics for localization.
I wouldn't be surprised if they announce it.
Or even during Summer Games Fest. That's another one that they could do that. If they do it at Games Fest, that would be big.
That would be. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens and they're like 2025 winter.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me for a release date.
Because let's face it, East feels like a winter game. I know that must sound weird to say, but to me it feels like a winter game. One that you release kind of just post Christmas break when there's not too much on the release docket, where it can kind of shine on its own.
Yeah, because I think, East can stand on its own.
Yeah, sure. It stands on its own. It's just like, I feel like East, because it appeals to a wider demographic than Trails generally does, I feel like it needs to release when there's very little actually around it for it to get its best sales results.
Well, we'll have to see what they do with that. But for Samurai Shodown, yeah, like, I would be curious to see what they do. I figure SNK is going to keep it mostly in-house, but if they did corroborate with other studios, I think Koei Tecmo would probably be the best bet.
I agree.
For that one.
I definitely agree with that.
But that's like way out there. That is way out there. We're probably not going to hear anything about this, like if this is actually like official, until around the release of City of the Wolves, the actual release of City of the Wolves, or sometime after that. Is when we'll probably start to see more information on this one. So, we have to wait.
Excuse me.
It sounds like you fell out of your chair.
That was a hiccup.
Oh, okay.
My chair just happened to squeak around the same time.
Jeez. Well, let's continue on, because you wanted to talk about the other thing.
Yes. We wanted to discuss Art of the... Yeah, I almost called it Art of the Wolves. Brain, why you be stupid?
That could be what Art of Fighting 4 could be called.
A actual proper team up of Art of Fighting and Fatal Fury.
But yeah, no.
Anyway.
New Art of Fighting, that was also briefly mentioned, which was also kind of a surprise. It's nice to see that the series is still being acknowledged.
I agree. It seems like the rumors are indicating it's going to be a 3D fighter, which has me salivating if that's true.
Yeah, that is a possibility I heard about. And I feel like Art of Fighting could work well as a 3D fighting game.
But I have never played any of the Art of Fighting games, so
they are fucking difficult, at least for me.
I've heard that they're difficult in general, that it's basically SNK's get good scrub.
For that, yeah. So, like, Art of Fighting, a new Art of Fighting, I feel like would be cool. I would say if they wanted to continue on a different approach for fighting games, or just, like, games in general, would it be weird to have an Art of Fighting game as a brawler? Like Streets of Rage?
That's actually the direction I was thinking they should probably go, because I remember reading Art of Fighting did start as a concept for a beat 'em up.
Mm-hmm.
Return it to its roots.
To that original concept.
Yep. Now's the perfect time, because the game has been a dormant franchise since...
Art of Fighting 3, and that was like 20 plus years ago, 20, 30 plus years ago.
Yeah, basically there's no established baseline anymore for it, if you really think about it.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like if they were, because if you were to bring back Art of Fighting, it would be a reboot, basically.
Yeah, they have confirmed it's going to be a reboot, no matter what. And
Yeah.
I think that a beat 'em up would probably be the best route to go, because let's face it, if the barrel ever falls out of the fighting game genre again, which is going to happen at some point, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Mm-hmm.
SNK would be decimated yet again.
At least for that. No, like they could still put stuff out. It just wouldn't be as well received or be more niche. Which, when it comes to like that one fighting game downfall, I give credit to NetherRealm and Midway for that, because they kept making fighting games, and look at what happened, right?
Yep. But I'm just pointing out that, like, fighting games got oversaturated, and we're in a era where there's a lot of them now, but they're all pretty well received, and they're all kind of given their time to shine, which is great. So I don't think the bottom is ever going to fall out as heavily as it did in the 90s and 2000s, which we can thank the arcade downfall for as well.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's going to be coming as soon as we think it will be.
No, I'm not saying that it's anywhere near happening. I'm just pointing out that fighting games will go back to being a very niche game.
But it will still have its relevance.
Yeah. They're never going to go away. They're so heavily established in esports at this point in time that they just can't go away.
But for Art of Fighting, I would say like a 3D fighter would be cool if they did another 2D fighting game like the older Art of Fighting games. That would be neat, because one thing that stood out with Art of Fighting, at least 1 and 2, were when you were fighting, you would actually see degradation of your characters. So you would actually see damage and all, and clothes rip apart.
Which was introduced in Dead or Alive 6.
Mm-hmm. Art of Fighting did it first, at least as far as I know.
It was the first. I've done my research on that much.
So, if they do make a new Art of Fighting, that has to be in there.
I agree. I just thought of something, though.
Mm-hmm.
What if you do a hybrid of a beat 'em up? So, like a 2D section beat 'em up with 3D models and 3D environments. But when you come across a boss character, it becomes a traditional 3D fighter.
You're almost sounding like do something similar to World Tour mode in Street Fighter 6. Instead of open world, you just make it like a side scroller until you make it to your boss or an encounter.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
That could work for Art of Fighting.
I think that a hybrid would be really cool, and then they could be like, oh yeah, online you can either do Horde mode and it'll be a traditional 2D style beat 'em up, but then becomes a 3D fighter if you and your co-op buddy run across a big encounter, or they could actually have it be a 3D Virtua Fighter inspired fighting game as lobbies. Like, they could do both, like, have different modes.
Mm-hmm. Although I will say, if they do a fighting system, like if they go 3D...
Yep.
I want something like Virtua Fighter.
That's what I was saying, Virtua Fighter.
Because one thing is, like, Art of Fighting 3, that was actually inspired by Virtua Fighter, so I would like to see SNK's take on that. If we're not going to get a new Virtua Fighter, I think I'd like to see SNK's take on that kind of style.
Well, they've definitely confirmed that the early builds that they've got and concepts, I should say, are actually Virtua Fighter inspired.
Which VF5 was a lot of fun.
It was. And I can tell you that Virtua Fighter 6 is definitely in development.
Mm-hmm. We just need to know what kind of form VF6 is going to take.
What sort of form would you like to see Virtua Fighter 6 take, since, we're kind of discussing Virtua Fighter a little bit?
If you want to make it, if we make it brief, like, I still like how mechanics worked and everything with VF5. I think the things like in terms of form make it go global, make it feel like a world tournament, make it feel grand in scale
That's a good idea.
with it, but it's also the other ideas for VF5, for VF6. I'm still torn on the idea if they should do what Killer Instinct did.
Meaning,
Make it free, but then you could buy a pack to get all the characters.
I think that's the route they are going to go.
That could work for VF.
I think that would work for a lot of fighting games, if we're being honest.
It depends, yeah. Like, if you're dealing with something more niche and a smaller roster, then I feel like it could work. If you're dealing with something big like KOF, or if you did a Tekken Tag Tournament 3, for example, that would be a little more tough.
I feel like with bigger AAA fighting games, they're always going to be full price games or close to it. I think it's with the smaller ones that are well known, that's where they're really going to have to change their business model.
Because the thing with VF is a well-known name. It was just dormant for a long time.
And I don't understand why it was dormant for so long.
I don't remember the exact reason either, but it was like after the release of VF5, it just kind of went away for a while, and then other fighting games took its place. But I know when they re-released like the new VF a few years ago, I think that did relatively well. So
Sega said that it did better than they expected.
Which tells me they didn't put much faith in it.
I think that they had a lot of faith in it. I think that they just weren't expecting it to blow up like it did because fighting games had kind of become a very target audience type of game.
But it's been seeing a resurgence again.
Yeah, and I think that was because fighting game players were just so damn starved for content for so long.
But that's the other thing, like, you have to tailor your fighting games now, too, is, like, you have to have more single-player stuff. Because that's something that VF5 was lacking, and I know at least some of the more modern fighting games, like, KOF 15 doesn't have too much, I find, when it comes for single-player modes, which is something City of the Wolves needs to address.
I agree. Also, this is something that kind of got me thinking. Look back at old fighting games. They had tons of single player content. I think that needs to happen, and I think that unlocking costumes again needs to be a thing. So instead of being completely dependent on microtransactions, you should be able to just play the game, grind up, and be able to get all the content.
That would be cool to see, like, an in-game shop of sorts.
Yeah.
Earn currency, just don't make it like you earn 5 or 6 pieces of currency, and then you have to spend like this currency on this thing and then this one on that thing.
No, just one universal currency.
That could work.
Like, I could have seen that working super well in Dead or Alive 6 because you could buy the premium tickets to, buy your your costumes. But the thing is, you couldn't earn it, and you were earning coins to unlock extras anyways, so maybe make it that you could spend coins to purchase premium tickets, or just have it be, yeah, you earn coins for just playing the game, you can unlock all this cool shit, and you can also use it to buy characters and buy costumes, or buy the season pass if you played enough.
Do like a COD thing with that aspect, or a Fortnite thing. If you earn coins, spend the actual like real money currency that you could earn in the game, and then use it towards that. Like VF6 could do that.
Yep, and I wouldn't be surprised if VF6 does that.
Well, we'll have to find out when they eventually do the official reveal for it, but that's probably not. I'm gonna say until sometime next year. We'll see something on VF6.
I think Game Awards next year is the absolute earliest we'd see anything. I think that 2 years from now is probably when we'll actually see something, but early 2 years from now.
But going back to like what we were saying for Art of Fighting, I feel like they could take a page or two from VF.
I agree, just don't make it stiff like Virtua Fighter.
Yeah, but Art of Fighting did feel stiff completely in general.
But it was a very old fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
So how much of that was by choice and how much of it was by technical limitations?
I don't know. It could be technical limitations, or it could have been intentional by design, because they wanted to make something feel different from Fatal Fury
True, but
and
if you
Samurai
play
Showdown.
True, but if you play the older King of Fighters, they are very stiff as well.
Mm-hmm. Considering their limitations of the hardware. But it could also be designed too. We have to see what they do, but this is like probably not. This isn't going to be
3
happening.
years.
Maybe more. Because like this is probably just in experimental phases right now for
I
Art
agree.
of Fighting. Because if I had to guess order for stuff, Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves,
Yep.
Samurai Showdown, maybe
Yep.
throwing a Metal Slug in there. I have a feeling there is a Metal Slug coming.
Me too.
That's been way too dormant, and I think that
Also,
needs to make a return.
Psycho Soldiers.
A revival of Psycho Soldiers. Oh, if you're gonna do that, bring
Yeah.
me a revival of Ikari Warriors then.
I could honestly see all of SNK's dormant franchises coming back in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, because speaking of that, they did mention one miscellaneously, and that was Last Blade.
Which has me curious as to what they would actually do with that.
Well, apparently it's just it is possible, but it would have to be like a complete reboot or remake or something different entirely. You know what I could see? I could actually see a new Last Blade be an RPG of sorts. If they were
As
to go
could I.
a different approach.
As could I.
But I think that's if they're gonna go an RPG approach for Last Blade. I think it would depend on how well Samurai Showdown does, and if it's viable. Because they could use the Sam Show RPG as framework, and then build from there.
They could even make them an interconnected universe.
They may. I thought they take place during different eras.
No idea, because I have no knowledge on Last Blade, and I only have a very cursory knowledge of Sam Show. Most of my knowledge is King of Fighters related.
Mm-hmm. But no, Last Blade is something in the future. But I do want to see what else like SNK has planned, because like they do have other franchises, and as I said, the other one for me, if we're talking outside of like their fighting game stuff, where's Metal Slug?
I mean, we do have Metal Slug Tactics in the near future.
Yeah, I feel like we found out about it. It went silent. Is that still coming? I want to play it.
I believe so.
I want to play it.
I believe so. I believe so. Let me look it up. You can babble for a moment, John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I know we had Metal Slug Tactics that was announced, but we haven't seen much on it in a while. But I think if we are to get I think a new Metal Slug needs to happen. If we're getting a new Contra, which by the way looks frickin' awesome by Way Forward, why can't we get a new... It might be time also to bring back Metal Slug.
Metal Slug Tactics is coming in 2023.
Okay. So, we don't know yet.
No.
Okay, at some point we're gonna get it, but I feel like, yeah, like I was saying, if we're getting a new Contra next year, which looks really cool, I think a new Metal Slug should follow.
I agree. If they are releasing it this year, when do you think they're releasing it?
The next option's November. November or December.
It's going to be a very quiet, quick release, isn't it?
I would think so, but I would also hope that they do a physical release through Limited Run.
That would be very cool.
For Metal Slug Tactics, because I feel like that should happen. And then we'd also have to collect more of like those Neo Geo, like clamshell, like those box things.
God, they're massive.
but they look cool. Like, I mean, I already pre-ordered the one,
Yep.
again, side topic. I pre-ordered the one from Pix and Love for KOF 13
Nice.
because it's freaking King of Fighters 13.
Does it still have copies?
Yes, they do.
Okay, that's good to know because I'll definitely be picking that up because I am a video game gremlin.
Yeah, no, they still have some up there, and I mean, we'll definitely take a look at KOF 13 when it launches,
Yep,
which is
for sure.
November 16th, I believe.
Awesome.
I believe that's when Global Match is coming. Let me just make sure.
So, John,
Yeah.
if they did bring Psycho Soldiers back, what kind of game do you think it should be?
They were to do Psycho Soldiers, third-person action adventure. Unless you want to go crazy, make it a bullet hell.
I think the third-person action adventure would be great. Here's my kind of two ideas, though.
Mm-hmm.
A Metroidvania with actual, like, sprite artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, Athena would be cute as hell in 2D pixel art.
Well, I mean, if Athena's iterations from 94 to 13 are any indication, that would be cool. But would you want a new design for Athena?
Yeah, because that's her thing.
Or be like, yeah, no, she would need a new design because that's kind, as you said, her thing. Short hair though,
Yep.
or long hair?
Medium.
Medium hair.
Or if they're going to go short, have it be a bob.
Okay, that could work.
What? I love that hairstyle.
Or go crazy, give her Chun-Li's hairstyle.
That would look weird.
Make it an alternate costume.
Sure. But I think that it would be really cool if they did a Metroidvania because that would be very close to the franchise's roots.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a 2D platformer.
Yes.
Back in the day. I think they could do a lot and they could capitalize on the Metroidvania craze.
Mm-hmm.
The other route, make a 3D collectathon platformer akin to A Hat in Time, but use the psychokinesis powers that Athena has.
That could work.
Because they could do a lot of really cool things in a 3D collectathon platformer if they went that route.
Unless they want to make it go older, do it something like a ukulele or a Banjo-Kazooie.
Which would kill a lot of the interest for me.
Because it would be too old.
No, it's just, I never found that either Banjo or Yuka controlled all that well.
Well, I mean, don't make it control like that, but those were kind of collectathons, as long as it's not like a Donkey Kong 64.
Which had too many.
Yes. There's a limit. Play within it.
Okay, what do you feel the ideal 3D collectathon platformer is? Go.
I don't have one. I haven't played too many of them.
Spyro 3 for me.
Spyro? Oh wait, that was
Spyro.
Year of the Dragon, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It's the ideal to me because you have a lot to collect, you have huge open worlds, but it doesn't feel overwhelming, and you have a wide variety of characters that all have different playstyles.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just like the tour de force of 3D collectathon platformers, and then A Hat in Time is my number 2.
I've heard good things about A Hat in Time. I need to play it at some point, but I don't have it.
Merry Christmas, motherfucker.
Nah, fuck you. We'll figure out something for that.
What system do you want it on?
We'll talk about that afterwards.
Nah, we're talking about it now.
No, we'll talk about it afterwards.
Fine.
There's just so many things coming out, but no, at least when it comes to the lineup of things that we're seeing with SNK stuff, I mean, City of the Wolves, we're going to start seeing more of it next year for sure. That's when they're probably, again, kicking development, like they said, into serious gear, and we're probably going to see more on that game. Sam Show, I want to know more on that action RPG.
As do I.
If it's going to be an action RPG, sorry.
Yeah. I think that we're going to see like a huge amount of gameplay stuff at EVO, Japan.
Evo Japan, I think that's probably when we're going to see another big reveal of something for City of the Wolves there, for sure.
I think that's when we're going to have like a huge amount of information and get a release date, maybe.
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see, because Evo Japan is April, I believe.
I will look real quick.
I believe it is April, because like I know the next Evo, at least Evo here, has been moved to July, I believe.
April 27th to 29th.
27th, so the end of April.
Yep.
And then, yeah, Evo, the other Evo, is July 26th to 28th.
To 28th. Yep.
And we know pretty much everything we're seeing here is going to make it there. So, your Mortal Kombat, Tekken 8's going to be there. I think Tekken will make its debut at Evo Japan, for sure.
Yep.
And then you obviously have Street Fighter 6. You're probably going to see one more run of KOF 15, I think, next year.
I think we're going to see 2 more runs.
Yeah, you're going to see them at both Evos, though, for sure. The year after that, potentially.
I am very much convinced that we're going to have 4 seasons of KOF because it's a nice round number, and it's a way that SNK can just go ham.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's going to be a while before we get a KOF 16.
Yeah, that's going to be a while, and I feel like that's a good thing. That it's going.
I do as well.
Because we don't need, unless they wanted to try and do like what they originally did and do yearly installments, but that would be very stressful.
That would be very stressful, but SNK is now mega rich, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get news that they're opening multiple studios in the very near future.
Well, they did move their headquarters.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they open more studios because, let's face it, the video game industry is at a point where established studios are going to be opening even more studios within their company.
Well, provided they can, right?
That's why I said the established ones.
Mm-hmm. I mean, no, I'm just saying provided they can, too, as long as they have the cash flow for it.
Because I'm hearing rumors that Insomniac is going to be adding a 3rd studio.
To their lists. Interesting. Yep.
Now, this is just rumors that I'm hearing, so it might not end up happening. But honestly, I think Insomniac needs a 3rd studio at this point in time. Because look at their releases for the PS5. They have been absolutely gangbusters.
They have been doing well, and they probably have more on the horizon.
They have a lot more. Because the thing is, they released Miles Morales at launch. They released Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart a few months later. They took last year off. They're releasing Spider-Man 2 this year. And it's rumored that they're going to be releasing Wolverine around this time again next year.
The only thing I would say with Insomniac, though, is give them something else to work on as well, too. Like, they kind of need a break from the Marvel stuff.
You did not see my latest video, did you?
No.
I'm gonna link you now, because that video underperformed, and it needs more views, so card will be popping up around now. Editor Belmont, please do that for me.
No, silence it.
Silence! I kill you!
Yeah, I'd like to see you try. But yeah, no, like in terms of what's coming out for the next little bit, there's going to be interesting stuff, and there's going to be more things to talk about. Like, as much as we are excited for SNK things, there's other things that are coming out, like the Spider-Man game that's coming out technically this month or in October, depending on when this goes up.
It's going to be up in a couple days.
Yeah, so
I'm going to make sure.
So it'll be out this month. I'm excited for the new Alone in the Dark game that's coming out next year. Next year is just going to have more bangers too, so...
You know what? Let's shoot the shit for a bit, because... You know what? We've got more we can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Let's name the games that we're excited for next year.
At least the ones that come to mind.
Yep.
Tekken 8.
Tekken 8.
Alone in the Dark.
Persona 3 Reload.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Even though I know you didn't like Remake.
No, I liked it. I just had some major gripes with it. There's a difference.
So, okay, let's continue on. Ayuden Chronicles.
Ayuden Chronicles.
That's another big one. What else is there? I know there's more stuff coming out next year. I need to look at a list.
Trails Through Daybreak.
Yep, Trails Through Daybreak. That's the summer. That's going to be a big one. If this is still on schedule for next year, Star Wars Outlaws.
I forgot that was even a thing.
Yep, Star Wars Outlaws. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth.
That too. That's also on my list.
Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown.
Another one on my list. Honestly, 2024 is looking like one of the best years ever to me.
It's looking good. Like, if I'm just going to keep going through and, like, I'm looking through a list and other things that pop out. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
Yep, that's on my list too.
For me, for a PC gamer, Homeworld 3.
Don't know that
That's
one.
a big one for me, at least for as an RTS game.
I love RTS. Please link me to information on that because, yeah.
I'll send you the Wikipedia for that so you can see what that is. Right, I forgot that's also coming out next year. Unicorn Overlord.
Oh, yeah, that one I'm definitely excited for. I've been meaning to make a video on that, but I forgot to.
Yeah. Aura History Untold. Again, that's a turn-based strategy game that I'm excited for to play on PC.
Link me to that one.
Again, I'm just sending you like the Wikipedia pages for it so you can get some info there.
That is fine.
They're bringing back Clock Tower.
Don't know that one either.
It was a horror game released for the Super Nintendo. It's basically being kind of like remade / remastered.
Bit before I was into horror.
Yeah. The new Contra game coming out.
Not so into that one, but awesome for people who are.
What else is there that at least coming up? Well, I mean, of course, Cold Steel 3 and 4. Native PS5 versions.
I really am like, on those.
Little Nightmares 3 for me.
That's definitely going to be a big one for me. Lollipop Chainsaw Repop.
You know, fun fact, I have the original Lollipop Chainsaw for my 360.
Nice. I've played it. I loved it.
I've just never played it yet.
Metaphor Refantasio.
Yes. Makes it worth it to have Game Pass for that.
Definitely.
Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
Multiverse's full release.
No. Not
I wasn't big into it, but I'm mentioning it because it is a big release.
Mm-hmm. Rise of the Ronin.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that one.
Oh.
Senua's Saga Hellblade 2.
I need to play that. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl.
Not for me, but definitely.
I liked Stalker. I need to replay the Stalker games and see what's up with that. I already mentioned Star Wars Outlaws, but I'm mentioning it again because that game looks incredible. I hope it's good.
Apparently, Tintin Reporter Cigars of the Pharaoh will be coming out next year. It was supposed to come out this year. That was a game that I was excited for.
Oh, that got delayed?
Yeah.
Interesting. Here's one, since it got a reboot, like restarted with its development. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
Honestly, such a packed year for gaming.
And there's more, like another random one I just forgot that's also coming out, like the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remasters.
That is something I'm excited for because I never played them originally, and I was a PS1 gamer back in the day.
Yeah, no, I never played them. I tried the demo for Tomb Raider 2, I remember back in the day, but I didn't play a lot of it, so this remaster is going to be pretty interesting to try out. I would hope they actually make it work well on modern systems, and also give it, say, a modern control style for it.
They've definitely said that they're going to be updating it graphically, and they're definitely going to be making it a lot more user-friendly.
Mm-hmm. So, no, at least with what there is so far, right now, next year does look promising, provided everything that we've said stays on schedule.
I think it all will, for the most part. I don't think too much is going to be delayed, because almost everything looks like it's in pretty late-stage development.
Mm-hmm. And then we'd also have to see like what other surprises there are for next year, too.
I would not be surprised if Falcom reveals Trails Through Daybreak 3 for Japan.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we get the announcement of a localization for Trails Through Daybreak 2.
I would not be surprised either. I wouldn't be surprised also if Tokyo Xanadu 2 winds up becoming a thing that they release next year, because heavily implied that they're working on something Tokyo Xanadu related.
Mm-hmm. I would like to see if Remedy will give more information on their other projects. Like, what's status of Control 2 and those Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes. I am very interested in those. But I also know one that everyone will want to know about, provided, they decide to talk about it and not just sit around with their looking dumbfounded. When is Rockstar going to show off Grand Theft Auto 6?
Never.
No, you think it's canceled?
They're just going to milk GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 for the end of time.
Till the end of time.
Yep.
But I mean, Rockstar's got to show something on that. It's time. It is time for that.
I was mostly being facetious, by the way.
No, what's the other one? I forgot this is possibly...
Bully.
No. Something different, sorry. This is coming out next year, I forgot. Apparently it's coming out in the summer. Black Myth Wukong.
I thought that was already out.
No, that's not out yet. That game's not out yet. They confirmed summer next year.
Nice.
So, that's something I'm also very excited for. No, there's
Also, I get the feeling the Switch 2 is going to be announced.
I have a feeling that's going to happen
next year.
Announced for sure. I'm not sure on release, but release would make sense as well if they're that confident in it.
I think it'll probably be announced in September and have a November release date.
What if they did their own event during the Summer Games Fest?
That wouldn't surprise me either.
Because that would be a thing as well.
Also, I'm hearing rumors that the Ninja Gaiden reboot will have a full reveal next year.
Which is something I want to see.
Same.
That is something I feel like that needs to be shown.
I feel like they really need to integrate Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive fully, because they have the shared universe already.
Mm-hmm. So it's about time.
I think. So, want to hear what my idea would be?
What are you thinking? Like, you're thinking like a collaboration or a crossover in terms of stories?
I'm thinking the stories feed into each other.
Unless they're rebooting everything.
They're rebooting both. That's been confirmed.
Because we know Team Ninja already has other things on the pipeline. Like, they're working on Rise of the Ronin for next year. But those things are, if for Ninja Gaiden and for Dead or Alive, we're probably not going to see anything until 2025 or 2026 for releases, as a guess.
That is literally what I've been hearing, that 2025 is going to be Ninja Gaiden, 2026 Dead or Alive.
That could be very interesting.
But think about it. If they're going to go like back-to-back release years with Ninja Gaiden then Dead or Alive, like that, why not have the Ninja Gaiden game set up the events of the Dead or Alive game?
You'd have to incorporate some characters from DOA in there, so... Who was the head of the tournament? Helena?
Yeah. Well, technically Helena's father for the early ones.
Mm-hmm. So, could be him. You could bring him back. And then, say, maybe Ryu completes his quest. Do something like Mortal Kombat Mythologies there, where Sub-Zero was sent on a quest. And then at the end of it, at the end of Mythology, spoilers for anyone who hasn't played it, is that you get introduced to Shang Tsung and mentions that he wants you to participate in a tournament called Mortal Kombat. Do something like that, maybe, for a Ninja Gaiden reboot.
They could easily do that, and they could also, like, because the thing is, Ayane teams up with Ryu in the earlier Ninja Gaiden games, so you could easily have Kasumi, Ayate, and Kasumi be part of the storyline.
Yeah, because Kasumi's treated like a rogue ninja, it seems like.
Yep.
No, if you want to do a reboot, reverse the roles.
Ayane's the rogue ninja in your
Yes.
reboot.
Yes. Reverse
Could
it.
be interesting.
Could be, depending on what they do, but we'd have to see. But that's not going to be revealed for a while. But in terms of what's coming out, like from now until the end of the year, like we're already looking at some pretty good releases, and then next year's just going to be nuts.
What are the games you're going to prioritize next year?
Well, Tekken.
Yep.
Tekken. I'm going to probably do Persona 3 Reload. I haven't committed to that yet. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and definitely Ayuden Chronicles, but also Trails Through Daybreak. Those are the ones, at least, for sure.
I'm committed to Tekken 8, Persona 3 Reload, Ayuden Chronicles, Trails Through Daybreak. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a deep year. I'm going to be getting these games at some point, and I'm hoping I get review codes for some of them.
Yeah. But if I'm not putting too much faith in that for those, it's just like, if I get it, I get it. I don't. But those games,
Same.
for sure, like, I'm going to get those for sure. And also, like, Ayuden, I don't have to worry, because I backed that game on Kickstarter.
I did not manage to back it, so...
Yeah. So, if anything, you may find my name in those credits. If they do,
Which
thank
would
you
be
for
really
backers.
Cool. Don't you already have your name in one game?
In Bloodstained.
Nice.
Yeah, because I backed Bloodstained. I do remember backing that. So.
By the way, when are those? When's that Wild Arms and that horror RPG coming out? The one that were a dual combo pack?
Pennyblood, I think it was called.
Yes, Pennyblood. Thank you. I was blanking on the name. When are those slated to come out?
Not sure yet. No ETA yet.
Because I am interested in those.
I am too, and I haven't played any of the Wild Arms games. And in terms of the games that succeed,
Me either.
that precede Pennyblood, I've only played Kudelka, and I liked Kudelka.
Okay, so I just looked. 2025.
Okay, so 2 years.
Yep.
So theoretically 2025.
There's no specific release date for either of them, but it says 2025.
So, okay, so yeah, 2 years' time, provided things stay on schedule. But yeah, no, I'm excited to get my hands on those when they come out.
As am I.
But again, we'll have to find out.
Have you noticed that JRPG gamers and fighting game gamers are really eating well the last couple of years?
Well, when it comes for that, what I would say is we're seeing not just that. I'm seeing a resurgence more on Japanese development.
As am I.
Because they tend to be have a different focus now when it comes to when they're making their games, and we're starting to see things do better for them, whereas on the Western side of things, like, things are okay, but I'm not appreciating the approach to going towards live service stuff.
Me either. I think that we can blame the stagnation of Japanese games on KJ Inafune.
Why do you say that?
Because look at how he forced Capcom to focus more on the West for so long in the wrong ways. And then look at how bad he fucked Mighty Number 9.
Yeah, I would say at the start, like when he started, like with Dead Rising, Lost Planet, those were good.
But they were inherently Japanese in their style.
Mm-hmm.
They just happened to have a slight appeal to the Western audience because we're weebs.
But also, like, would Resident Evil 4 fit into that bill? I'm not 100% sure.
Explain, my brain not working.
No, I was just thinking about it randomly. I need to look it up again, but no, like, some games during that time, like around the end of 6th gen, start of 7th gen, Capcom did make their switch, and it did help for a little bit, but not in the long term. And then when
it didn't help it didn't help in the long term because they went about it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. But then again, there were some games that, when they did that focus, there were some good ones. And I know I'm going to get flack for saying this one. I liked DMC.
I did as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, like,
It's a good game in terms of mechanics.
in terms of
Story
gameplay and presentation, that game's great. That game's got it.
Yep.
It's just...
But in terms of
story.
the story and the characters, kind of shite.
Yeah, like, at least the way they're written and stuff, but design-wise of the characters, those were all good.
I agree. And I do need to pick that reboot up because it's the only Devil May Cry game that I'm lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm actually planning on playing on stream all the DMC games for the first time.
Have you got your PC up and running, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I was gonna say, if you're interested in, say, Armed Fantasia and Penny Blood, you should try and get all of the Shadow Hearts games and the Wild Arms games and play those.
I would definitely like to.
I want to do that as well, but there's already so many other things to play, and I've already got some plans, at least for some streams in the future, that I need to try and get set up and working.
Let's put it this way, my backlog is now almost 2 Mountains of Shame.
That's quite a bit of shame. But then again, I can't say anything, because I have an insane backlog as well.
I feel like the 2020s have just been like, fuck you, nerds. You're gonna be broken, you're gonna like it.
Be like, yeah, I know, I have all these games to play, I just wish I had more time to play all of this.
Yep.
That's the problem. Right?
You would think that being a content creator would make your gaming life easier.
No, of course not.
No.
You get more stuff.
It makes it harder.
Like, I know, like,
it makes it harder.
I'm still trying to finish up a review for, like, Nayuda. I still gotta finish the review for Nayuda, and I still gotta do one for Reverie and for Ys 9. But the problem with Reverie and Ys 9, I lost all the footage.
I need to finish up Reverie. I also need to pick up Nayuda.
I will say, if you just want initial impressions of Nayuda, it is a different style of game, but I like it for its replayability.
I'll tell you something. Toshihiro Kondo has confirmed that Nayuda is going to be very important story-wise going forward.
I knew that. I heard that before, and I remember I was having some discussions, I think, a little bit with you and I think a little bit with Shinky, because this was just a side thing, it wasn't going to be a thing, but then I heard, no, there's stuff that ties from Nayuda into Trails itself, so this is an important game. It's not just a side thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a... It's a side thing, but it's not a side thing. It's Schrodinger's video game.
Mm-hmm. But I will say, at least play style-wise, it does play differently, but I like what I'm seeing of that game. Nayuda is a fun game.
See, I definitely want to pick it up and play it. It's just a case of, well, I'm not as invested into it, so I'm not going to pick it up physically. But I definitely want it, and I'll probably pick it up when it goes on sale on PS5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, PlayStation, I should say, because it's a PS4 release, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC.
Yeah, but my PS5 has basically become a PS4, so...
Yeah, basically, because you don't have a PS4 anymore, right?
No, I still have it, it's just, if I boot it up, it starts shaking like a 90s washing machine.
That means it's time to open it up and clean the thing.
I've cleaned it! I'm gonna be honest, the place that repairs it for Canada, they've fucked it up so many times, and they gave me a fucking defective one last time, so it was a case of, I have to buy the PS5 right away because of you fuckheads.
Be like, okay, so try and clean it yourself.
Oh no, I have cleaned it myself, and it's still fucked.
I'm tempted to do that for mine, but I'm a little scared to open it up, because I still need to clean my PS3 as well.
I need to set up my PS3 again.
Which I might do some stuff with that in the new year. Some PS3 stuff, but at least for content that's coming, if we just want to talk about stuff that's going to be coming out in the short term right now, I already just put up a new schedule.
Awesome.
On X or Twitter. I'm going to still call it Twitter. You can't fucking stop me.
Same here.
A schedule for that.
Tweet, motherfuckers.
So expect that, and then I'm going to have some other things in the pipeline. It's just a matter of getting the time to do it.
Yep.
What?
I'm happy that you were even able to do this podcast with me because we'd been discussing it for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's just time has not really been on my side.
Or mine.
Thank you, work, right?
Thank you, health.
Yep. But I guess we should call it there for now, because I mean, we've got this going for a bit. And I feel like this should be enough footage, right?
Yeah. Is there anything else, though, that you kind of want to promote before we sign off, John?
Well, if you want to find me, I do have a Twitter. Again, I'm calling it a Twitter. You can't stop me. I also still stream on Twitch, and I have a YouTube, all under the name John McBon. I'd love your support. It would mean a lot to me. I know I've been behind on stuff with content, and I apologize. I just wish I had more time for it. But I'll be making stuff. Keep checking it out. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And thank you for having me on this.
Yes, no problem. We have to discuss when we're going to do the discussion of fighting game balance patch selection as an end-of-life option. We need to figure out when we're going to do that podcast, because this podcast made me think of that idea. Then we also have to do a new Blaze Blue podcast, because you made me think of that idea while we were shooting the shit.
Mm-hmm. So we'll plan out something and go from there.
And we also have to do a lot of Twitch collabs as well.
Yes, there's quite a few things on the agenda. It's just a matter of finding the time, and we may not get to it. I'm just going to say as a warning before the end of the year, because we're heading into the busy holiday season. Mm-hmm. So if you don't hear it from us in the short term, I would say expect some of this in the new year.
Yep, for sure. Anyways, thanks for coming on, John McBon. It's always great to have you. And until next time, guys, keep blazing that trail. 2 of my previous videos will be popping up now.